What is up, guys? Dzeeff here, and I don't know about you, but sometimes it feels like there's a countdown timer at Konami where they're required to print a new Dark Magician or Blue Eyes support card at least once every 6 months. Now, to a lot of people, that's probably not a bad thing. Obviously, Dark Magician and Blue Eyes are very iconic cards, but I know some people are getting a little bit sick of all of the support for those two cards in particular, instead of the other old school fan favorite cards. But regardless, over the past 24 hours, we have gotten a ton of new Dark Magician and a tiny amount of Blue Eyes support revealed. These cards come out in two different packs in the OCG, and there's a pretty interesting discussion with the second pack. The first pack, though, is Battle of Chaos. This is going to be an upcoming core set that's pretty standard. Where things get interesting is with the World Premiere Pack 2021. Now, in the OCG, this is how they get their World Premiere cards from the TCG. So, for example, in this pack, they'll get the War Rot cards and the Mutant cards and the Arcana Knight support, but we also got these three cards revealed. Now, because we haven't seen these cards in the TCG, a lot of people out there are predicting that these will be in our 2021 Megaton. That could be pretty interesting. If you remember, last year we did have some Dark Magician and Blue Eyes support cards in that Megaton that were world premieres, so it would make sense, at least going off of the previous Megaton. We don't have confirmation about this right now, so I'm not going to say with 100% certainty that these cards are going to be in the Megatons, but I can understand the logic. Regardless of where those cards release, though, we will talk about them in today's video, and as usual, we are using the graphics from the Yu-Gi-Oh! News TCG Twitter account. These guys are great. They're always super fast with their uploads, and make sure to go check them out on Twitter. I'll link them in the description below. So we'll go over the Battle of Chaos cards first. We have Dimension Conjurer, a level 1 dark spellcaster effect monster that says you can only use this card name's 1 and 2 effects each once per turn. So that means they're both hard once per turn effects. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one magical dimension from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can draw cards equal to the number of spellcaster monsters you control, then place the same number of cards from your hand on top of the deck in any order. Adding Magical Dimension is pretty interesting. That card isn't terrible, it's not amazing, but when you can search it for free and when you only have to play one copy because this card can actually grab it from the graveyard as well, it might be a bit more appealing. That second effect could fix your hand quite a bit. Dark Magician decks have always struggled with bricking, so I think it could be a cool way to maybe fix your hand. Next up, we have Tamius, the Dragon of Destiny. So if you remember the Eye of Tamius, which I'm sure most of you do, this is that card as a real monster card, which is pretty crazy. Tamius, the Dragon of Destiny, is a level 8 light dragon effect monster with 2800 attack and 1800 defense. This card has two hard once per turn effects, and it says you can send one spellcaster monster or one spell or trap that specifically lists the card Dark Magician in its text from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand, so it's not too difficult to bring this card out. During your main phase, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, including at least one spellcaster monster. Not a bad effect. There are a number of good fusion monsters that you could theoretically summon with Tamius. Keep in mind that while the obvious use of this card is to summon the Dragon Knight cards using this card and a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you don't actually have to use the Tamius with this fusion summon effect. That means you could summon that great card, the Dark Magicians, that's a pretty good fusion monster, or any number of other fusion monsters as long as they take at at least one spellcaster monster. And then we have the adorable Magikaribo. This card looks like a custom card, but it is actually real. So this is a level 1 Dark Fiend effect monster that has 2 hard once per turn effects, and obviously it has 300 attack and 200 defense, just like the regular Karibo. During the main or battle phase, if you took battle damage or damage from an opponent's card effect, this turn quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon 1 Dark Magician or 1 Dark Magician Girl from your deck or graveyard. If a face-up spellcaster monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. This card might not look that crazy, but it does give you quite a bit of advantage over time, and if you special summon a Dark Magician, you could trigger your Dark Magical Circle. So Magikaribo might not look that overpowered, and it's probably not, but it is actually a fairly decent card. Illusion of Chaos is a new level 7 Dark Spellcaster Ritual monster with 2100 attack and 2500 defense. This card says you can ritual summon this card with Chaos form. You can only use this card name's 1 and 2 effects each once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand, add 1 Dark Magician or 1 non-ritual monster that specifically lists that card's name in its text from your deck to your hand, then place 1 card from your hand on the top of the deck. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon 1 Dark Magician from your graveyard, and if you do that, negate that effect. So it has a great in-hand effect that could boost your consistency, and if you manage to summon it, it has a negation effect that brings a Dark Magician to the board, which, like I said just with the last card, would then trigger your Dark Magic Circle. So it seems like Konami is really giving us a number of new ways to trigger that card's effect, besides the usual cards we've been using over the past several years. The final Battle of Chaos reveal was Dark Master of Chaos, a level 8 Dark Spellcaster Fusion monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. This card takes Dark Magician plus 1 Chaos or Blackluster Soldier ritual monster to summon, and all 3 of its effects are hard once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target 1 light or dark monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You contribute 1 light or 1 dark monster, banish all monsters your opponent controls. If this fusion summoned card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. This card has 3 very powerful effects, and there are a number of easy ways to bring it out, so it could actually see play in Dark Magician decks. As far as I know right now at least, Dark Magician decks are pretty focused on summoning Dragoon, so maybe Dark Master of Chaos wouldn't be as appealing, but you can probably still get away with playing Dark Master of Chaos and Dragoon in the same deck. You might just not be as focused on summoning the Dark Master if Dragoon is still around. But I like this card a lot, and I think it could see some play in Dark Magician decks. And then we have the 3 World Premiere Pack 2021 reveals. So first up, we have Magician Salvation, a field spell that says you can only activate a card with this card's name once per turn, and you can only activate the 2 effect of this card's name once per turn. The first effect says when this card's activation resolves, you can set 1 Eternal Soul directly from your deck. That's obviously a pretty good +1. If you normal summon a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you can target 1 of those monsters, special summon from the graveyard 1 Dark Magician or 1 Dark Magician Girl whose name is different from the target's. So Magician Salvation puts the Eternal Soul on your board immediately, which is great, but also it has this once per turn recovery effect as well, which could be pretty valuable. Next up, we have Shatter the Darkness. Now this card could be used in a Dark Magician deck or a Blue Eyes deck, or theoretically a number of other less well-known strategies. Shatter the Darkness is a continuous spell that says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If you normal or special summon a non-token normal monster, you can draw 1 card. When one of the following monsters you control declares an attack and battles an opponent's monster until the end of the turn, the monster gains attack equal to the attack of your opponent's monster. The monster monster has to be either a level 5 or higher normal monster, a ritual summoned monster that uses a normal monster, or a fusion, synchro, or Xyz summoned monster that used a normal monster as material. That second effect does remind me a lot of Different Dimension Derby, which was revealed in Dawn of Majesty. That was one of the world premieres in that set. So this card obviously does want to be used in a Dark Magician deck or a Blue Eyes deck, but it's not actually tied down to either of those two archetypes. You could theoretically play this card in any deck that plays normal monsters that you want to summon. There's not a ton of decks like that, but they do exist, and maybe with Shatter the Darkness as well as Different Dimension Derby, people will start considering playing normal monsters more now than they have in the past. Finally, and this was a pretty crazy and surprising reveal, Blue Eyes gets its own version of Eternal Soul. The True Light is a continuous trap card that says you can only use the one effect of this card's name once per turn. That first effect is apply one of the following: special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or graveyard, or directly set to your field from your deck one spell or trap that specifically lists the card Blue Eyes White Dragon in its text that has a different name from the cards you control and in your graveyard. Blue Eyes White Dragon in your monster zone cannot be targeted by your opponent's effects. And finally, of course, if this face-up card in the spell and trap zone is sent to the graveyard, destroy all monsters you control. I'm not sure if the True Light is a card that would be played in a modern Blue Eyes deck. Historically speaking, Blue Eyes decks have been more combo heavy, while Dark Magician decks have been more control heavy, so I don't know if this type of card really works in a Blue Eyes deck right now. Still, this announcement was pretty surprising. Anyway, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about these new cards in the comment section below. Do you like seeing new Dark Magician and Blue Eyes support cards, or would you rather Konami try supporting some of the other older fan favorites? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.